Hello everyone, and welcome to the Sales and Marketing series from Performance Experts. Thanks for having me here. Today we are going to talk about content creation. My name is Shashank Srivastava. I bring in around 25 years of successfully selling and marketing infrastructure technology software solutions across the globe. And I'm going to provide you certain tips and tricks around how to create an impactful storytelling content that you can use during presentations, or you can use them to write a white paper or a solution brief, or as such you can use these tricks to create presentations for anything else as well. Let's get started. Before we talk about how to create compelling content, let's try to understand what are the elements of a good content. The first thing that I would like you to focus around is the subject. You need to do a thorough research of the subject. Or let me rephrase. I would say you need to know your audience, where they are coming from, and you need to know your domain. As a matter of fact, during my experience, I've understood that nobody is interested in speaking with you to know your products or to know your services or even to know your company unless they have a need for it. So either they should have a need for it, or you should make them aware and create need for them, which probably they might not be knowing. But you can only do that if you know their domain, if you know where they are coming from. So you need to invest at least some amount of time in researching the subject that you want to talk about. You need to understand your target audience. You need to understand their domain, and a lot of other things related to their industry, which I'm going to talk about. Point is that you need to do thorough research. The second aspect of a good content is basically citing examples. While you will be creating content, you will be putting together content, it becomes very easy for a content to be consumed easily, or you can make your content audience friendly. You can make it easy to be understood if you are using examples, valid examples, specific examples that even a layman can understand. So what I mean to say is that, let's say you are making a presentation in a room of 50 people or maybe 100 people. Now, it's possible that that room may have people from different domains like technology, business, operations, etc. And to make your content consumable, you need to cite out certain examples that all of these people from different domains should be able to understand. Now, why this is required is that not every time the technology folks are decision makers. It's possible that the projects are funded from the business side, and to make your value proposition, you need to offer certain value proposition to the business side as well, as opposed to only offering it to the technology side. So that's very important. The third critical element of good content is basically use of data, statistics, or tangible outcomes. What makes difference between an average content and a good content or a valuable content is use of these numbers, which is very important. So if you say that I can help you improve your profitability, or I can help you grow revenue, it's not that compelling when you say that I can help you save $3 million annually, or you can say that I can grow your revenue 4x of what it is today. So that number, usage of that number makes it more credible. So you should have those numbers, you should have some sort of data, you should be in a position to do analysis and present to make your content look credible and add credibility to what you are saying. People, your target audience, will be able to relate more to it if you do so. And finally, once you have your content in place, I always do this. I review it multiple times. And I propose and I suggest you also review your content multiple times, because each time I review, I find a scope of improvements. And I'm sure you will also find the same if you do that multiple times, which is very important. That is why we say that good writing takes time. But let's now try to address the bigger puzzle, which is how to structure your content. Now that we know that what we need to include in our content, we need to understand how to structure it, how to create a seamless flow in a storytelling mode. And is there a template that we can use? Well, yes, I've put together, based on my experience, I've put together one template for you that you can use as a master template to create white papers, to create sales presentation, and so on. And this is what I'm going to present here. This is what I call how to create a masterpiece. Now, the first thing when you start putting your content together is basically, talk about business background. A quick walkthrough of an event that symbolizes the need of your solution. So let's take an example. So let's assume that you are selling some sort of security solution or security software or services. Now, what makes sense is, just to go back, some time in history and pick up one event where there was a breach of security in a particular industry or for a particular company. And you can take that as a preface to your story that can set the context of your story that you are going to talk about. Now, why this is very important is that your opening couple of minutes of your presentation or the content that you're writing is very important. This is what will determine how long your audience is going to stay with you, how long your audience is going to listen to what you are saying, at least the initial parts of the presentation, which is very important. If you are able to hook them there, you'll continue to hook them, provided you follow this particular approach. Now, this will also create an interest in your audience that, okay, this person is talking something which makes sense to me, which I can relate to, which is very important. So pick up, any such event that created or stirred the industry, in whatever way. I come from performance background, and I typically use one of these examples, such as demonetization. Now, demonetization was something that created a revolution in India. Not that I'm not going to talk about the positives or the negatives of demonetization, but what it did was, it gave a booster shot to somebody, one of my friends call it a booster shot. So it gave a booster shot to technology to be adopted by a lot of companies that were considered laggards. Let's take an example, Germany. There are still certain restaurants or hotels in Germany or shops in Germany who do not accept credit card. Can you believe it? Now, think about India. We have street side hawkers also accepting digital payments today. That's the difference. If you bring up such kinds of events which can become a preface to your or can lay out context to your complete presentation, will be just wonderful. The second element in the structure is something that I term as key challenges. Now, you mentioned about an event that symbolizes a need of solution. This is where you talk about why. Okay, what happened? So this is something, where you can talk about the technical challenges faced by, people in those industries, right? This is where you can talk about those, whether these are missing features or functionality in a particular software, or you can talk about something which was totally missing in terms of processes if you're trying to sell services and so on, or something which didn't even exist there in form of a technology solution. So you need to cite out those technical challenges here, not the business challenges, because you've already set the business background. Now is your time to talk about key challenges that enterprise or businesses face, and if these are not addressed, then what happens is there is an impact to the business, which is the third component or the third in the structure of our content. Now, this is where you need to talk about risk and costs associated with not addressing those technical challenges. And either you lose X amount of money as operational expenses or overheads, or you reduce your profitability, or you are not able to grow your revenue, which is also possible. Now, this is where you need to cite that example to create more awareness. You need not to scare your target audience, by the way. If you do that, you risk them losing, there itself. So there is a very thin line between awareness and scaring them off. Now let's talk about the fourth component of the structure, which is, and as you can see, is that I'm walking you through all of this in form of the storytelling. So you talk about business background, you talk about key challenges, technical challenges that probably needs to be addressed, why they need to be addressed, because there'll be certain impacts to business, and now how. Now this is the logical flow of the story, and this is what typically people look for. Now interestingly, did you see that I didn't even talk about who I am, what my products are? And this is a very a typical mistake everyone does. Now what happens is that if somebody has to ask for my 20 minutes of time and my 30 minutes of time, I'll really not be interested in knowing who you are and what you do. I'll be interested in knowing that, can you address something which is very specific to me? Can you address this problem which I probably am facing, or people like me face in our role? How can you make my life at my job easier? And this is what we want to know. And if you can straight away, upfront, pinpoint, these, or address, these issues that I'm looking for, then you are doing a great job with your content. So let's come over to the content now, and let's talk about minimum required capabilities. Now this is where you start introducing the key differentiation of your products and services, which is very important. Now once you start doing this, this is where things will automatically start falling in place in your favor, in your products or in your services favor. This is where everything, this is the most critical piece, by the way. So you need to call out your key differentiation here. And this key differentiation, if you can see the icons of the key challenges and minimum required capabilities I've purposefully kept them same. Why? Because this is what addresses the key challenges or the technical challenges that the organizations in general face. So this makes it very clear that if that is your technical challenge, and if you get an affirmation from your target audience, yes, this was our technical challenge, then the logical step to that is that these are the minimum required capabilities and whatever you use. So by the way, you need not, say that I have a product that does that. No, not right now. Just be a little more patient now. You need to tell them that, all of this happens because, whatever technology, whatever product you are using is missing or should have these minimum required capabilities. Once you mention that, and if your customer says makes sense, or if you can get your customer say does it make sense, and if he says yes, 80% of your job is done. You have already sold him 80%. It's remaining 20%. Now how you do that is basically citing out, like I said, your key differentiation goes here. And once you do that, once you have an affirmation from the customer, the last logical step is how your product fits in. And this is where you talk about your product. Now, what makes sense here is that once you talk about minimum required capabilities, now is the time, once your customer says, yes, I understand these are the capabilities which are missing in my current solution or totally missing, I'm looking for a solution. A solution that I'm looking for should have these capabilities. If your customer is in sync with you, now is the time you can pitch in your product. And this is where your product fits in. Introduce your product and also cite the value it brings to the customers. So now you can see the icon for the impact to business and how your product fits in are same. I kept them same because you need to reiterate your story that, hey, do you remember I spoke about certain risks and costs, or I spoke about impact to business. By the way, there are customers who are already using our technology, and this is how they are benefiting. And you need to tell this in a subtle way that they understand that, oh, okay, this is probably what I'm missing. So they'll understand, they'll be able to relate to it. This is where the data, the numbers, all of it comes into picture. You can, craft a compelling story by telling them that, Mr. XYZ, I have a customer that is, that has grown their revenue from $4 million to $20 million in 2 years by using our technology, or we have helped an organization to save $3 million in operational expenses every year. So this is how you can make your content sound credible, create credibility not just for your organization, for yourself also, and at the same time you create a content which is extremely valuable for you and your customer. So this is how you create a masterpiece. I'm sure you must be wondering, Shashank, what is this? Well, this is Salvator Mundi, the most valuable painting in the world today. Of course, Mona Lisa is also there by Leonardo da Vinci, but because Mona Lisa will remain in the museum for life, so it cannot be auctioned, but Salvator Mundi got auctioned 2 years back by Christie's in London, and the auction amount was 450 million US dollars. So imagine what a value of a masterpiece can be. And you can bring in the same value to the content that you prepare. It can be invaluable. You cannot really define the value of the content, because this is what will drive you, this is what will drive your business. So I'm sure you got an understanding of how to structure the content, and this is what becomes a template for you. I'll just summarize it once again. You talk about business background in the beginning, followed by key challenges or technical challenges that organizations are facing, impact to the business, what are the risks and costs associated with not addressing these challenges, or how it has impacted the business. Then you talk about the minimum required capabilities to address these challenges, which are nothing but your own key differentiation, and after that you introduce your products and services. So this is what the master template is to structure your content. You can create a presentation, you can create a white paper, you create a data sheet, follow this approach, and it will be very easy for you. Idea is to break a complex problem into small pieces and use that in form of a template. Now you have your content ready, but you still need a last push. Why you are creating a content is basically you want to either sell, you want to generate a lead, or you want to engage with your audience, generate opportunities, etc. And what is needed is push the envelope. You need your audience to take some action. So you need to provide certain call to action with any content that you produce. Whether you are creating a website copy of a page, whether you are creating a white paper that you put onto your website, whether you are creating a content for a presentation, Always push the envelope. Ask your audience to act on it. In sales, it is said that a sales doesn't happen if you don't ask for a purchase order. So you need to push the envelope. And how you can do this is you can create several call to action items. One of them could be like download a white paper or a solution brief. If you are giving a presentation, or if you've simply written a web copy using the similar content, just ask your target audience to act. You need to provide a call to action there, right? You can ask them, to go for a free trial. If you are doing a presentation of an audience like 50 or 100 in a room, you can ask them that, use this link to download your free trial, which is, for a limited offer. I'm sure you'll find that a lot of people, go to that link and download and register for free trial. Or let's say you can ask them to register for an event. Now, if you're making a sales presentation, obviously you will want them, to engage with you. What you can do is you can create a custom event for them and ask them to register, which could be like book a 30 minutes call with our solution architect or our product expert or our solutions expert and so on. This is how you can really engage them with them. You can generate leads, you can generate opportunities, or you can actually push them to go on to the next milestone within your sales cycle. So this is very important. So just to summarize, in this particular session, I talked about key elements of the content. I spoke about how to structure the content, and then it's very important to make your audience act. So these are the three key things that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure this will help you in getting you started to create some quality content that works for you. I look forward to meeting you in similar sessions hosted by performance experts. Once again, thanks to performance experts for having me here. I'll see you in other sessions from Sales and Marketing series. This is Shashank Srivastava signing off. Thank you so much for attending this.